live up in this pit.
All up in this bitch.
And it says it's live on Google Plus, and I think everyone who have attended should have gotten a notification. We have 12 viewers here, so except from us in the conversation, there's a bunch of us passively viewing this too. So let's look at the agenda. First of all, who will be the secretary for this meeting? Yay for volunteerism. Did anyone sit in front of a proper computer and can do that, as opposed to, I know, Matthias, viewers have a great from us. In the conversation, there's a bunch of us passively viewing this too.
Hold on a second.
We're starting here. First of all, who will be the secretary for this meeting?
I can do it. I'm in front of.
Someone watching the delayed. Yay for volunteerism. Wow. Did anyone sit in front of a proper computer and can do that, as opposed to, I know, Matthias, viewers have a great. Okay, so I have a really long feedback loop on myself, which is like 20 seconds. And it's because one of you have opened up the video conferencing thing that would be the recorded YouTube feed, which is getting this. I hear what I'm saying 30 seconds ago once more. So can you, first of all, unmute? Then
why does it sound like there are three voices that are speaking all at once?
Well, at least you're alive, right? The video conferencing thing that would be mute if you are not. I hear. Chaos! Okay, so can someone volunteer to do the protocol?
My computer is very unstable right now. I can't do it.
Daniel or Jill?
I'm so bad.
I can.
Secretary.
I guess you didn't see what I wrote in the chat. Yes, I can take notes.
Okay.
Woohoo!
Daniel takes notes. No, I'm not actively reading the chat. Now I've opened. Yes, I have the chat open, so you can now use that. Okay, way to be representative. So I have to do a little short introduction because I realize that what we're saying now is being kind of not only broadcasted live, but it's also being recorded for the future of this thing. So when someone films a documentary on the Borderland movement and sends that on live television in 20 years, yes, because in 20 years there will be live television, right? They will be using this as kind of old original documentary material.
And for lawsuits.
Transparency is really hard for several reasons, because when a smaller group of people is having a conversation, they know each other better, so that they tend to use expressions that might be more easily misunderstood when viewed from the inside, not knowing conversations that's been going on and what's led up to that. Which means that there is a risk of misunderstandings of our conversations. That also means one other thing, and that is that people, when they are told that this is being recorded, might start a self-censorship. So trying to both have this be a safe zone where people are comfortable with speaking their mind, and being something that takes into account that this is going to be reviewed by someone who is not fully aware of the conversation that's been going on in here is a really tricky thing to do, which is the reason that pretty much no organization do this. But I think, well, to me personally, there is a philosophical utopia, a beautiful idea in being able to hold these conversations with the public eye on us. So, you know, it's a trial, and we'll try to explore how this works. But, you know, for those of you watching it now or watch it later, be patient with us. This is not great television. This is documentation of a meeting, and we're not planned and structured, and we're not creating the greatest content. So Matthias is saying that it's completely ununderstandable right now. I hear Gustav speaking with two voices with a delay. Can we change to Skype? Is that still happening? So can I get a confirmation? I see you very well on video. I'm going to raise my hand. Can you guys raise your hand when you hear this? And there goes Jill, and there goes Justin, and there goes Daniel, and Matthias is still behind. He's not reacting yet. And there he is. So there was a very long delay there. So obviously Matthias is having a problem because of his slow network connection, maybe because he's on cell phone. But can you hear what I'm saying, Matthias? Because otherwise we'll have to shift to thumbs up. Okay. Yeah. I don't understand if Matthias is fine or not. Let's keep going, and you'll just have to interject. You can unmute your microphone and scream if you think that this is not working. Can we, or you can speak in the chat. Anyways, let's try to look at the first point here, which is the post-mortem. Do everyone have that that document up?
The evaluation.
Yes, I'm trying to find it myself. I realized I hadn't prepped that document. Where's the link?
Hang on.
Okay.
I didn't fill it out, obviously.
Okay.
Since I wasn't there.
Did someone send the Skype the link?
Yeah.
Just post it in the Skype or something so that at least we get it up.
I just posted it on the chat. Does that
Oh,
work?
Yeah, you did that?
It's not.
This is not working for me. It works. Okay.
Seems like an update.
Works. It finally works.
Okay.
Got it?
You put it in the chat. I'm not getting your link in the chat.
Strange. On the Hangout chat.
Yeah, I'm not getting it. Is everyone else getting it in the Hangout chat?
You update it? Because I had to refresh my page to see it.
Then
Like
the entire thing will go down because I'm hosting this, so I can't refresh the
Okay.
security. Where? Why is it not in my latest? Okay.
What are you looking?
I'm looking for the link to. Can someone post it in the Skype, please? Just the link to the freaking.
I just put it on the agenda. I just put the link on the agenda.
Ah, excellent.
It's in the agenda.
There's the link. Okay, I got it. Thank you. Apologize for that. Okay, so let's kind of step through each of these questions and see what's in there. Ah, come on.
A question before we start this discussion.
Yeah.
I guess we can spend hours on going through all the questions and the answers. So my suggestion is that we go through it briefly and then come back to it later on. I mean, when planning next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is just a quick review while it's fresh in mind. The reason we're doing it now is because, as you say, we want it for later. It's not important to spend a lot of time with this now. We just want to spend some time with it now to make sure we got all of it down. So I'm just going to step it through. The first thing was the ticketing system. I mean, the general feedback is that it worked well. The suggestion for improvements that I've seen here is basically that we're going to need a new system for next year. Partly because this won't be able to handle things like certain tickets for certain groups or special codes for art grants or whatever that is. So this has to be reevaluated as a part of the new kind of ticket acceptance membership thing. So number 2, safety and security, fire structures, cables, first aid kit, staff placement of fire extinguisher and first aid kit. I think we had the best. We had really good response, and one of the pillars of this was Hans Lindblad, and I'm not sure who of you guys who heard this already, but Hans died in a bicycle accident last weekend.
No.
So yeah, sorry to break this to you like this, but yeah, Hampus had written a great text about what happened and what happened around it, but basically just a fluke thing. And he's written up a longer post about it in the on Hans Lindblad's open Facebook page, so you can read it there. And he said he's going to post something later in the Borderland group. But Hampus mentioned this in the feedback form here, and saying that, well, a big part of the plan was Hans really wanted to build a medic station for next year, and I think that we, in his honor, should be doing that.
I've been talking to Hampus about having like not just having a medic station, but having a caretaking station. Not completely unlike the Zendo, as it is at Burning Man, and commemorating him in that.
Yeah, I agree, and there are more people who've expressed that wish to build that. So I think this will happen next year, and with hope, and I hope this what happened to Hans is actually something that we can kind of embrace and help us bring this vision to life even stronger.
I really support it.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Let's not address this more in this meeting because I get too emotional. So leave no trace. Some feedback and thoughts around leave no trace. What did you think about it?
The leave note.
Having a comment of you guys who was the late leaving, left the place very late. Who stayed longest?
I was there until Monday morning.
And what's your experience?
My experience was that people were generally taking care of it, except the part down by the rabbit hole. Like leave no trace is gonna. I think leave no trace is gonna be this point that we can always do better. We can always inform better. We can always like make more streamlined logistical measures to get people to be able to take care of their trash while the thing is still open, or sorting and so on. But my general impression when I took like the last couple of rounds around was that I could find very little movement.
Yeah, the feedback on that from Örjan, who's been up there afterwards, was very positive. He didn't feel like he didn't notice any mess. So I'm happy about that. There are some improvements that I think we wait. Justin is writing something here. You're saying you can't speak? I think that was because I didn't re-enable you. Are you still in? Can you try now? Because I realized I haven't accepted some things that I have to do with Paul and Justin. So now they should be in. There's Paul. Yeah. Sorry, going back to that. Yeah, I think there's some general feedback in there. I think we should make sure that theme camps are more a core of leave no trace, instead of having theme camps actually be the ones that are worse at leaving no trace. I think we should prepare more for how we talk about it, and maybe work with information material throughout the event instead of just kind of brainstorming around it 15 minutes before we're doing the opening ritual. Like, how do we mention this? But yeah, as Brooke said, there are always things that we can change when it comes to.
I have a question to that.
Yeah.
Does that kind of imply that that we're going to have some sort of formal theme camp and enrollment procedure? Going to make them more responsible? Do we need a system to manage theme camps, or will we do it offhand, so to speak?
I don't know. Let's talk about it. I don't like bureaucracy, so I think it's more about information, making sure that a theme camp knows that they are responsible for their territory, and don't come up with excuses that, well, it wasn't us that did this thing that was in our backyard. Actually take a larger responsibility for the area where you have established yourself as being responsible. And kind of just I think we can solve with communication.
Yeah, Paul here. I think that I also wrote in the document that I think it would be a great idea with a communication to camps, and probably that would be to, like, you know, if we can identify leaders of camps, but before the event, maybe a month before, and again a couple of weeks before, saying like, hey, have you guys thought about Leave No Trace? Do you have a Leave No Trace plan? Do you have people who are responsible for staying behind, so it doesn't become this ad hoc thing? But I think it would be worthwhile checking in with individual camps. I know that, you know, in Shadowlands, I don't think we really had a person that was responsible for that, and I'm guessing some of the other camps didn't do that either, so it became like the people who were leaving last, even though they maybe hadn't signed up for that task. So I think, you know, as we're also going to have more new people coming, I think maybe communicating through camps is the way to do it, that camps are taking responsibility for their areas, instead of, you know, of course we can continue communicating to individual people as well. But,
I just want to mention that I actually did walk around from camp to camp on Sunday, and gave them like areas of responsibility. That's a very informal way of doing it, and I basically just grabbed the first person that I could could reach to do it.
Which is great.
And like that kind of worked the way that I saw it.
I mean, it worked. I think we just have to learn some and have some continuous discussion for next year. I think we could move on, because this is something that we will address again with the next year. Art grant system, I think it worked generally really well. Next year, maybe we shouldn't have such an ad hoc art grant committee. And kind of think this through. I think this is something that a new board will kind of review after us. So I don't think that this is something we necessarily have to address right now. General information, I mean, the survival guide, which I think was great.
Good stuff.
Good feedback.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
I would appreciate it that when you say this is probably not something that we should review, that people can make a point whether they agree with you.
Okay. Yeah.
And
good point.
And for that matter, I agree with you.
And thank you for interrupting me and saying that, because yes, I need to delay a little bit more, but it's a balance there with kind of pushing forward. And many mentioned that we should have printed survival guides, and maybe we should consider having that in the budget next year. Anything else to add on information and how that worked? I think we should has a part of our conversation with a nomination committee to make sure that we have someone on the board that is interested in working actively with communication and writing, because it has been a thing that's been fallen between the chairs in this board, because no one really wants to take the overarching responsibility for communication and working with, for example, the newsletter.
Yeah, good.
How did the clown police shift work? Anyone want to give a short feedback on the clown police?
Well, generally speaking, I would say it went quite well, but there were some things like, well, has been mentioned in the feedback that, for instance, people were arguing when asked to lower the volume, and some other minor parts. But I would say Andreas did a fantastic job with information, and as far as I know, all the shifts were working.
Yeah, I am really amazed by Andreas' work and by everyone who was on the Clown Police Force. I think they did a great job, and they should get more support in doing that job for next year, especially if we scale up the size. but wow, such great people. Anything else on that? Camping, I think we can pass that question unless someone objects. How did the survival guide work? We addressed that. Porta potties and hand sanitizers. There was a problem with the latrines, partly because of Örjan's fault, because he said he would get buckets and he didn't, and then because of, yeah. So I had to go in and do some emergency solutions, a couple of, like three times, because they were scuff lacking. But that can be prevented. Oh, I need to unmute.
Unmute, yes. Yeah.
Okay, you're now in again, guys. I can change that in some settings, but I don't know where right now, so I'm not going to do it right now. How did illumination of art pieces and people work? I think we can pass that if no one objects. Illegal lasers, jump that. Anyone want to bring up alcohol and drug use? I think, as I see it, the general feedback is positive. It is a very small amount of problem in compared to the size of the event. But of course, if we increase in size next year, this problem will also increase. But I think the combination of more support for the police, the clown police, and more support for a Zendome or a caretaker camp would be excellent. Police visit, we didn't have a police visit. I'm going to skip that question. How do you work with uninvited participants? How did you guys feel about our neighbors and the guests that came in throughout the week? Because opinions go apart a little bit on this.
I think it's a really good idea in the name of outreach to have a visit, and I think that this should also be, they can't just walk in on their own.
Yeah.
And I didn't actually witness any such visit, so I couldn't say more than that.
Yeah. I do think, like, I saw a couple of people wrote more signs, and I definitely think, like, I saw some people arriving at one time. I think they were just completely lost, and they arrived in the parking lot at the border there and didn't know where they were. And I think a very clear sign saying, like, there's a private event happening here that's a bit bigger, maybe, could be useful for people arriving and, like, what the hell is this, right? Because I definitely think, like, yeah, people wandering in by themselves isn't optimal. And that can happen if they don't see a clear sign saying this is a private event, please don't enter without, you know, a clear agreement.
Mm-hmm.
I had I mean, we have some problems that is needed to be solved about the Norwegians, so the guys living closest to us. And I promised them to come back on the issue before they are leaving Gotland. So I need to call them next week, or you need to call them next week, Gustav.
Can somebody please go over what that issue was? I don't think everybody's in the loop on that with the neighbors.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a lot of things that came out depending on what mood they were in, but the basic issue was sound. When they hadn't slept and when they were in a bad mood, it was everything from, you know, them thinking that some of our participants threw their wheelbarrow in last May, to, you know, people having what they thought was stolen street signs as a part of their art. But the general problem, the foundation of the problem is the sound, and we tried to work with it. And one problem was that some of our participants kind of ignored it, And one problem was that, well, there's just, once they were irritated with the volume of sound we had, there was really no way of getting as low as they wanted. Because they didn't want quiet enough, they wanted silent. Can
I mention? Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that this issue is actually the greatest long-term challenge to the Borderland at this quarry on Gotland. If we were looking at growing this festival, then this problem's just going to grow. And at the end of the day, it's probably going to be the issue that's going to mean that one day we're going to have to move. And I actually don't see any way of solving it. I think it's just going to get worse and worse. Because people are going to bring bigger sound systems, there's going to be more sound camps, there'll be more people to try and tell, like, hey, you need to keep the sound under control. So is there any other solutions, or is this going to be the issue that's going to end up saying, deciding that we're going to have to move away from where we are now?
I mean, we had offered them 2 days on a hotel close to the quarry. So actually, we offered to buy them out for the rest of the weekend. So maybe that's a solution. But I mean, as long as we grow the festival, it will be more and more noisy. So I think you're right. This will be an issue.
That continues to grow.
And it also sounds like something that really can't be deferred until immediately before the next event. I mean, if we're gonna do something proactive about this, we should do it 6 months.
Yeah. I talked to Örjan this weekend, and his opinion was that we should let it cool down for a while before we try to work on it more, because he said, oh, emotions are running high, and I think it's better to address it as the next event approaches. I think Matthias is right. I should call her before I head out to Burning Man, and talk to her once more about it. But Örjan also said that he doesn't think that they will take the offer to leave. And he wants us there, and he wants us to persist in this, because to him it's also a bigger issue to, okay, so to what extent can they stop him or he Gruppen from having events? But one part of it is actually checking out what is the law here, and who is right, and in what way, and how can we make sure that we stay, so that we know that we have the law on our side at all times.
Or just offer them a package holiday to Mallorca during the festival next year.
But he said he didn't think that they would accept that. But that is absolutely an option. I think that's a great option. But it's not sure they will accept that, because they are there because they love their house and their peace and quiet, and it's theirs. It has a very. They've been there for 50 years. It has a very special significance to them.
Is it only one family?
Yeah, it's only one family.
Yeah.
We had some skirmishes with the other because someone parked in their driveway. But that can be solved with more signage next year. I think we should leave the neighbor problem for now.
Right.
I will follow up on that. So an action point for me is to follow up on calling ASAP. Responsibility for people invited. Izzy mentioned in case maybe we got too much neighbors. They were around a lot, and maybe we should discuss how will that process look for next year. But I'm going to drop the question of neighbors if no one objects. Destroying art didn't happen. Work with people under 18, no real problems. Board meetings before the event, I think this is a larger issue, and it's also an issue that is for the next board to address how will the workflow of this board be, because I think many of it, at least in my opinion, it has been not optimal, and I think that's something that should be addressed early next year. Do we want to say something on this issue now, or is that something that we should leave up to leave out of the post-mortem discussion?
I think for the purpose of a post-mortem, it's fine from my perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it has to be dealt with because the attendance have not been great. The follow-up on action points have not been great, and it could have been done more efficiently. How has it been working with the structure of the board and share responsibility? I think also that we should do that as a separate meeting and more talk about the process of the board, and we shouldn't include that in this meeting right now. Fire permission. Yeah, maybe Matthias, you want to say something about that?
Yeah, I mean, you had some conversation with the fire department before the event, and then I could check the status better, but I didn't. So I think it was a good solution. I will go back and burn the tower or the temple. Yeah.
I suggest not to make that into an event. It's one thing if you and the artist who built the tower go there, but not make it an official, because I would love to go, and so many others would love to go, and we really can't have an authorized event. In that case, we have to address and do the whole shebang again, especially addressing neighbors, making sure that they're not in town and all of that again. So it is an event, I would say, out of this organization's responsibility. But of course, what you do there will reflect back on the organization. So, what do you guys think? Is this something that we should see as an event organized by this organization, or as something separate?
I'm going to stick by that all DCOMs should be independent. I mean, we can endorse them, but why make them official events? You know, they're locally managed.
Yeah, my argument there is that they will be on the location, and their behavior will be reflected directly back on us. So in that way, they are very much a part of the event. But yeah, let's not dive more into that, and let's trust Matthias. If everyone agrees to give Matthias responsibility for kind of hosting and organizing and having that event, and Matthias has relationships with Örjan and with neighbors too. So yeah. Okay, and also a note there. Of course, the clown police should have on their sheet to the fire department every day to check for fire prohibition. I have something around Kidsville and children. I don't think we had any problems there, not much comments. Storage of containers. I mean, yeah, it was not optimal how the border container was packed. But we'll look at that more next year. So that was kind of the evaluation. Anyone have more input on the post-mortem? Like, this is an important learning I would like to share before we go on and get onto the agenda of what's going next.
I have an overall experience, and actually I was surprised that the event was so fucking awesome with 300 people. The community was really great.
I second that.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I have no words. Yeah, absolutely amazing. Yeah, so let's keep going because we need to. I mean, this child is worth putting money and time and effort and life into. So the next issue on the agenda is art grants. Daniel, can you give a little short report on just what have we gotten back so far? How many did not go through? Like, what projects wasn't built, and how do we look on the economy side of it?
Yeah. So let's see. We had I think it was 4 projects not getting through for different reasons.
We don't have to mention them here, but
yeah. And let's see. I'm just opening the document on the amounts, but I think there's like around over 20,000 crowns related to those projects. So that would then go back to the budget.
How are you doing with receipts? When is the deadline for handing in receipts?
The deadline for handing in receipts, as was communicated, is the 5th of September.
September, okay.
Yeah.
That's great. That means we can have a end-of-year budget fairly soon. I'm going to push Hide-gruppen to get us the bills for the latrines and the power as soon as possible. We can also get that done. Do you have anything to say more on that issue? Okay, yes, there's one thing that was brought up. Ola wanted rent for the sound system that was picked up for the Raving Rabbits. And Ola did not do his project for Glamageddon, the art car, and he was arguing that since he didn't attend, he should be able to get some of his art grant money for that project for rent for the equipment that he gave to the Raven Rabbits. I said I would bring this up. What is the opinion of the board here?
How much money is it about?
He won something. But so he's basically saying, although he didn't do his project, he at least borrowed his stuff to other projects, and he should get paid for that since he didn't attend.
And he wants an art grant for that? I mean, that's basically what it is.
Well,
that's the only source of money that we're access to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much did he want? I mean, I know that he put human resources into contributing to a project, but he just couldn't get his vehicle running. So he did give technical resources. I mean, he did work on it. He didn't deliver his art project, that's for sure. But we did use his resources, or Rabbit Camp did use his resources.
I think it's a strange precedent set to pay people kind of post-event for expenses that they've had. You know, even if there was some other complicating factor. I know that there was a sound system that was on offer to be used at the Rabbit Hall, which it was said, no, we don't need it. We had a sound system in Denmark that we could have brought that we didn't bring because we were told that there was a center there already. So I kind of think it like the board saying, yeah, we will money for expenses you had in connection with the event that you never applied for before. Like then, you know, there's probably over 100 people that have had different expenses for different things that have been valuable for many different participants there. And if we suddenly start after the event saying, oh yeah, we want to give some money to this and this and this, I'd really have to have some really special circumstances to say, yeah, that's a good idea, I think, because it is definitely a principal decision, if you ask me, in an event this size. And I don't know what, I still haven't heard how many kroner actually this is about.
But shouldn't it be on the Rabbit Hall's art grant in that case? Like, because it's their expense if they're renting it from him.
That makes more sense as well.
Because it's not really his project. I mean, it doesn't matter who they rented the equipment from, but it should be in that budget, I think.
I told Ola that I would bring it up, but I basically said exactly what you said now. Well, if the rabbits borrowed stuff from you, then you should have demanded rent from them, and it's part of their budget and their responsibility. You have an art grant to do a very specific project, and if you do that project, you get money. And we will not. It's a matter of principle, as Paul said. We can't just, you know, because a friend of ours says, "Hey, I would like some money for the things you borrowed or rented." Then we can't just start dishing out money, because there are probably hundreds of people who didn't go to the event who borrowed stuff to people who went to the event, and just because they happen to know people who's on the board, that doesn't make an exception so that you can suddenly. It's just. I don't think it's okay. And he referred to them as Borderland use, and I completely object to the fact that the Borderland use these, because I never asked for them. On the opposite, I told them several times to lower the volume. So I take no responsibility saying they're mine, and I think that's a fundamental misunderstanding how the workings of this community, how the organization of this community works.
And also, it really needs to be in advance, because that's when we make the decisions on the budget, on the art grants.
But I just wanted to make sure that I had you behind me on this, in kind of saying no to him.
I'm a bit.
I don't have enough clarity to back that. I mean, was this a deal that Common made with his special relationship with Ola, or is this something that went in the official Borderland truck? I mean,
there was no official Borderland truck.
Okay.
The border, my camp, organized a truck, and it was on our budget.
Okay.
So there's no official Borderland truck. There's no official Borderland anything, pretty much. Very few things are official Borderland.
Right.
Kind of the power grid and the toilets.
But who picked up the who picked up the sound system?
Common.
Common did. Okay, so then I think that's between Common and the grant board, and between Common and Ola.
And that's what I told Common and what I told Ola. So we're fine. So let's leave this issue.
Good.
The next is economy. We can't do much on economy. I'd just like to add here that we lost a power cable, which will cost us about 5,000 SEK. The other thing was that we made an agreement at the last board meeting to buy the container from the border. I think that is a decision we should review again, so that it's sure that this is a well-founded and supported decision. But the idea was basically to buy the container post-event from the border to be put in the quarry and owned by the organization, so that the organization decides what projects and what stuff goes in the container. Because the other option would be me privately owning the container and me using what I feel is using my authority or my personal relationship with Örjan to be able to put my personal stuff there and then be able to put my friend's stuff in there, which I think is worse than selling the container to the org. I mean, the border and my camp will still pay for getting it to the quarry, moving it into the storage location, doing the renovations and everything we did with it. The thing that the org will buy from our camp is the actual cost of what the container itself cost. But I would like a proper yay or nay from the board on this, because it is an issue. It's an iffy issue, since I'm both on the board and I'm asking for this money to be paid to me basically, for you guys buying this container from me.
How much?
Realize the double chairs I'm on here. Brooks?
How much was so we did give the board did, or the art grant committee did give a grant to that already, and how much of the total was that?
The reason we did this was that we got a truck instead, because we did realize that the transport and the container could not be the same thing, which was our initial plan, to buy a container, stuff it full, put it full of stuff, and get stuff down there. But to be able to do the whole thing with picking up Ola's things, the rabbit hole things, and the Shadowland stuff that was in Stockholm, and get that down, it was a better solution to buy a container separately and a truck separately. So we used our container money in our grant to get the truck down, and we bought a container. But and we paid. We've already put in more than twice as much in our own camp fees to be able to finance this whole thing. But we would love to. I'm now personally I have bought the container, so I would love to be able to sell it to the organization, basically.
How much is it?
12,000 plus tax.
Is that container full of things that are valuable for the Borderland?
Currently in there is the border camp, the two beaver domes, Isadora's rabbit hole tent, the whole space, and Ule's favela. Those are the 6 projects that are currently stored in the border container.
Mm.
And yeah.
The only thing I want to point out is that that would then add to a function that the organization takes care of. I don't see that as a problem. It's just.
Yeah, and I'm kind of against that, which was the reason. My initial idea was that I'm going to buy it myself, because then it's mine and it's not the organization's. But then I realized that when I own it, I use my personal relationship with Örjan to be able to put it in the quarry. No one else will be able to do that. So I'm kind of abusing my power, even though I'm doing this private project, because I'm the only one that's going to be able to put a container there. It's not like anyone can put a container there. I own this resource and control this resource that is kind of an exception that I've gotten because of my role in the board. So then I realized I think it's better that is considered an org resource.
Yeah. For me, like if this was pre-event, then I would be 100% in agreement that it's worthwhile for the organization to have. Like, I can't imagine that the Borderland continues to grow, and that we don't have some kind of storage facility there pre-event. But post-event, you know, we've just sat and spoke about the situation with the sound system. Makes a lot more sense for me that for the organization to invest in than a sound system.
Well, didn't we make this decision before the event?
But
yes,
it is a kind of post-event board decision of using.
So I just dug up the previous minutes, and we all did unanimously agree on it. And I was just verifying the price.
So there isn't an addition.
So the price is in line with what we speculated it would be.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say my thumbs up. If you guys need to negotiate more about it, then that's fine. But I totally agree that it should be paid for.
Yeah,
Yeah, if this isn't an additional expense, I thought it was more money, then I'm also good.
Yeah.
Jill?
Me too.
I think it's good.
Then everyone is agreeing. I just want to clear up 2 points there that Paul mentioned. And the first one, that we did agree on this unanimously on the last board meeting. I thought it was just such a sensitive issue that it's worth bringing up again. And the other part is that you could call it pre-event, because I bought it, and I'm asking you now to buy it. It's already sitting there, and if the board were turned down to buy it now, it's still sitting there. It just continues to be mine, and then you can choose to buy it before the next event. But then I have to, have the money out for that period.
Yeah.
But
we rented a container for stuff from last year from the Hide group. So, I mean, just another solution for what we did last year as well.
Yeah.
Yep. So I would like to leave the economy part. The Juice Bar have asked for feedback on their participation. How was it received, and how did it impact in the festival into making it a more sex-positive event, and if there's any improvement suggested for next year. Is there anyone who wants to
specifically? Maybe I could just add that. If I just add, maybe like there has been a little bit of feedback around about spanking and very overt sexuality like on display. And I'd love to hear if there's been more feedback, or if you guys have heard people being very offended, or if it's just been, what's the kind of level of feedback that you've heard or feel yourselves as well of, because I think that more people have felt that the Juice Bar impacted the event in a lot of ways.
I personally thought it was great, but that's me.
I'm intrigued. I've missed out on something.
I have a problem with the board addressing this, because I don't think it's the board's job to say if they like a project or not. They should ask question to the Facebook community and ask to everyone and say, hey, how do you feel we can get it? Because my opinion is not more valuable than anyone else's. I'm just some guy who had sex in their tent. They should ask other people who didn't, because they obviously have a different opinion than I do.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Personally,
I don't think they're asking for like.
Paul?
Yeah, I think they're asking for approval or anything like that. More just like it was an ideal forum to get feedback from some leading thinkers in the community, more than anything else. But they're not asking like, is this a green light or something? But yeah, I understand your point, Gustav.
But I think that is something that we should stay away from, because it strengthens the idea that our opinion matters more than anyone else's. And
you know what?
I
think that actually they're just asking in case we had any complaints.
Okay.
From people who didn't want to put it in public, and we haven't had that, right?
Yeah. Not that I know of.
No, no complaints.
Cool.
Okay, let's go on. So the annual general meeting, we did set a date for September 21. I wrote here a little text on this point in the agenda saying that I think that the nomination process and the bylaw review should be allowed more time, especially if we want to make bylaws by using a wiki and some kind of participatory process. I think it's ridiculous to think that we'll be able to co-creatively write a founding document in 6 weeks, especially when Burning Man is during that time. Also, I don't see there's a need for the new board to get their work started until maybe November, December. So I would be okay with postponing this to end of October or early November. And I would like to get your opinion on this, because I think it's more important that we do this well than that we do this quickly.
I would say it's okay with October, but last year we started to sell tickets in November or December.
December.
Yeah, so I think October is okay.
I think that the events, the AGM has been delayed so much already that I think it's actually embarrassing. I don't even know if it's legal, like according to our own constitution, that it's been delayed so much. I think it is. So I think that we actually owe it to hold it sooner. And if the new bylaws can't be done, then there should be an extra annual general meeting to pass those. Because I kind of feel like it's really been a long time. That it's been a very long time since the board was elected, and I think that it would be embarrassing to delay it further.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that it's been a long time, and I mean we are by all means a super legal board. So that's not, we can't avoid that. We should have called for an AGM in the in I think January or February, it says in our bylaws. That is any member could have objected that and kind of said that this is not okay, including anyone in this board could kind of veto this board because it's not supposed to be done this way. On the other hand, re-electing a board in March would have been a great idea, so we needed to do the event. And now when the event is done, I think the most important thing is to do this well. Because this is going to be the first time we ever do an AGM. And AGMs are really tricky because it's a lot of people and a lot of opinions that come out. And because you bring voting to it, you also get a harsh conflict resolution. That means that people will have to deal with losing, which we're not used to, because in this community, if you say one thing and I say the other, I just go over there and do it instead. And this is, I think, especially in this community, we need to do this well. It's our first one that we do for real, and we need to do this well. And both thinking in how do we talk about it, how do we communicate around it, how do we create a good spirit and sense of inclusion in the event, and how do we prepare the structure before the event so that everyone who comes there or attends have the feeling like they've been participating in the event leading up to the process, to the event. Because I think that's the core, that an AGM should be people should know what will happen, because we should have had enough conversation before the AGM so that it just becomes a formality. If we come there and we open up discussion points that haven't been talked about before, and then you're sitting in long hours, making the event longer and longer, and then forcing a decision, because a lot of people haven't been able to process these thoughts. It's really, yeah. I've been to these to the really failed AGMs, and I'm really wary doing one without doing one. But of course, any of you can say, let's push this and do. I think we should be in agreement if we choose to postpone this. So if Paul, if you want to do it on the 21st of September, I don't feel it's right to argue against you because you have a fundamental legal right and point to what you're saying.
Yeah, I've been to really bad AGMs before as well, and yeah, it's terrible and it can really destroy a lot of energy around a community. But I think that it's about, you know, we've known that it's been that date for a really long time now. There's a lot of really great discussion going on the Facebook page. I'd like to hear some more opinions from the other people on this call as well before I say anything. But I think, you know, if we can't manage to, you know, write new bylaws and make a really good discussion around that in the co-creative process in time for that new AGM, then we shouldn't do that. But I think that my feeling is like it's not right to be delaying more. But I'd like to hear more before I kind of say anything definite.
I would recommend that we put some kind of stub in place just for legal reasons. I think as our bylaws stand right now, just the people on this conference can make any decision that we need. And I would make a decision that we declare this an annual general meeting or have something really short and fast that maintains status quo for another 2 months so that we can actually buy the time to have a proper AGM. Just a stub, a legal stub, because we're supposed to have done this, what, 9 months ago? Something to
yeah, and then we can have another that actually review the year of 2014 in January or something. So I support that we go ahead with the 21st of September and then have another AGM for 2014 in January.
I would like that to be earlier because I think it's fair to give the board who's going to be responsible for organizing the event a little bit more lead time before getting working. So I think having a new board elected in the end of the year instead of the spring would be better. But let's separate those two issues. So as I understand it, I'm not supported on this. So we should be having a board meeting in an AGM on September 21st. And that AGM will include the election of the new board. What I would suggest then is that we only put together, me and Matthias will do a minor bylaws review, kind of looking at what is, and then recommending some small changes. And then after the AGM, we open up the wiki process and do it from scratch, because I think that they need to be completely reviewed, especially when we look at things like membership. And because today, just the fact that the membership fee, which is the ticket price, is in the bylaws, and you can only change the bylaws at the AGM, means that the board can't decide on the price, which we have been doing. So we've been completely breaking the bylaws for 3 years. So just do a bare minimum bylaw review, and then from there, together with that, me and Matthias will recommend a process for how we'll go about to create a new bylaws in a founding document in a more collaborative kind of wiki-style process. Do you have your guys' support on this? basically saying go ahead with election of a new board, do a minor bylaws review, and postpone the big one until a later meeting. The date of that meeting, I suggest, should be set at the AGM.
Sorry, I lost the last part.
The date of the next AGM, the winter one, should be set at the September AGM.
Yes.
But this
Right,
is,
and I wouldn't mind taking a look through the bylaws as well. I wouldn't mind giving it a review.
yeah,
So if you guys can include me on that.
absolutely.
Perfect.
I think 3 people will work well. I don't want to include more people than that. Then it's just going to take. I'm not going to have time. I'm leaving on Friday for Burning Man, leaving for 4 weeks. So.
You know, I was out of town for several months, and I don't have notes on a meeting where we discussed much about electing a new board. So when I started coming back to meetings, a month and a half ago, that was news to me, and I've been looking through the old notes, and I don't see it. Is that a product directly of the bylaws, or I mean the language that you're using, election of a new board, implies the replacement of an old board, which is news to me.
But that is in our bylaws.
Okay, so that is the product of the bylaws.
Yeah,
right.
we should have every year.
Yeah.
The members have to confirm the board.
I
They
see.
can select a new one, or they can say, well, we give renewed confidence to the sitting board. They can do that.
Right.
And that might be the end of this process. But it has to be done every year, and it hasn't been.
Okay. Yeah. So it is as a product of the bylaws. That's fine.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the next question. If no one objects in me pushing on.
Yep.
The next issue is the nomination committee. And Jill want to step off that. Zach has said he can stay if we want. The 2 applications I've gotten in have been from Ulrika Hammar and from Christopher Bram. Ulrika basically saying that she has some good previous experience with working in boards and with nomination committees, and she also brings the point that she doesn't know anyone, so she's a good kind of impartial part to it. While Christoph is saying quite the opposite, that that he knows a lot of people, and he's been to the last 2 burns, and he's been active to the last 2 Borderlands, and he's been active in the community, so that he feels he would do a good contribution to this.
That's a great combination. So are they? So they're on. Do we have 3 people then?
The 2 of them want to do it, and the 3rd person is Zach, who said, well, if we still want him, he can do it, but he is not super eager on it, as I understand it.
Well, maybe these 2 people are enough. I think it's quite enough, and it seems like they're keen on doing it, and with the 2 different experiences, it just seems like a good combination as well. So I don't think Zach needs to feel obligated to do it.
So my suggestion would be that we elect Christoph and Ulrika to the nomination committee, and then that we keep on both Jill and Zach as assisting. So it's Jill and Zach that makes the decision, but Jill and Christoph that makes the decision, but Ulrika and Christoph that makes the decision, but Jill and Zach will back them up with process and with knowledge of the board, the previous board.
Yeah.
Is that this is the point where it's actually the AGM that nominates a nom-com, but I mean, yeah.
Well, I'm thinking I should just talk to them right away. I mean, as soon as possible, just get their contact details and just pass on the information that has been done, like the people I've talked to about nominations over the past few months. So they just have the that information they need, and I can be their backup. Yeah. But I think just they can sort of keep going where I'm finishing now.
Yeah. So as a first point, can we all agree on electing Christoph and Ulrika as the nomination committee?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a quick question though. Is this for the bare minimal AGM that we just discussed, or is this for the AGM where we actually...
21st of September.
This is for the 21st of September, and are we going to keep the same team for... Because my understanding is what we're doing here in the near term is making minimal changes to hold us over for our legal obligation as a board. And then the actual changes and community feedback are coming from a larger one before January. Is that... I mean, did we agree that we're going to have 2 AGMs in the next 6 months?
Yeah.
But the new board will be set on the next AGM.
Because in reality, this is the AGM for 2013,
right,
where we go through the budget for the last Borderland and make, say, oh, did we do a good job with the Borderland 2013? I would
actually oh, sorry, I lost the word, but recommend. I would recommend the nomination committee to actually nominate us to the board, because we have made all the decisions during 2014.
So, yeah. So
including Paul, including Brooks, and including Hampus.
So
we have made all the decisions.
It is really weird what we're doing here, because the new board will be legally responsible for what was done in 2014.
And therefore, I think it has to be us.
Yeah, it has to be us.
We have been involved in all decisions.
Basically, with this first AGM, we're just maintaining the status quo until we get our shit together to do the real AGM. So I don't even think we need...
But then why are we doing it? I know, yeah, legally, but
right.
It's
legally.
So doing the legal bureaucracy thing, because it will be a big thing, because we will have to tell everyone at the Borderland that this is the AGM, you come here, you vote. We also have to tell everyone that if you want to nominate a different board, you can nominate a different board. And then the entire community will hear that, well, the previous board just wants you to re-elect them. I mean, we're getting us into a clusterfuck. I do not want to do this.
What's the disadvantage of electing a new board on the 21st?
Well, 2 points. What Matthias brought up is that, well, they will actually be responsible for the economy of 2014, which means that we're kind of electing...
They won't, like, legally that doesn't hold up.
Sorry?
Legally that doesn't hold up. Like, they won't... The board who was actually sitting in 2014 is responsible for 2014. They're also responsible for not having elected a new board. Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure any lawyer would tell you that.
I think if we do an AGM, we have to do a review of the board. We can't just do, oh, let's elect us again.
Yeah,
I agree. That's going to be a communicative clusterfuck.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I'm running out of power, and I'm in a car, so I will be out. I'm really sorry for leaving right now.
Okay.
Okay. I'm catching up with you, Gustav, later on.
Okay.
Bye, Matthias.
Bye.
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 Yeah. So I understand the idea of doing a placeholder AGM, but I don't think, as we've already initiated the conversation in the community, I don't think it will work out very well. Which is the main reason I don't want to do an AGM at all, because I don't think you can do a half-assed AGM. It will be a full-on AGM because people are really engaged and care a lot about this. So there's no way of doing a small one. You have to address all the issues. You have to address all the questions that come up about membership, about who gets to go next year. All of those things are going to come up if you open the floor to people to speak up. So I don't think it's possible to do a small placeholder AGM. It will be a real full-blown one.
I agree, but I'm not as worried as you, Gustav, about like that it's going to be like this massive, big, really complicated discussion. People are going to lose, and we're going to have to vote. I think that I expect that we'll have maybe 10, 15, maximum 20 participants of people who are already engaged in the community and knowledgeable and have been engaged in the discussions already. And I think that as long as it's well planned, and I think we should also have a fairly tight program and agenda. And I assume that the bylaws have something about that you have to submit suggestions a couple of weeks before, expecting that there won't be. I doubt other people will do so much of that. We can actually control the discussion to keep it fairly narrow and keep it like fairly consensus orientated. So yeah, it's not going to be like just plain sailing pro forma kind of thing, but I also think that we can keep it fairly tight and have like a proper AGM where there isn't going to be like a massive long discussion until 1 o'clock in the morning or anything like that. And everything goes in chaos. I'm pretty sure that will be okay. And I think, yeah, I think let's not like stress too much. We have a fantastic community. People are really good at agreeing and finding compromises, and I don't think that it's going to be a big problem.
I think I'm just scared.
Yeah, I think you're scared.
Because I want this to work out perfectly. I want this to be, as beautiful as the event itself. And it's fucking bureaucracy. Collaborative bureaucracy.
Do we have a clear picture of what actually needs to be, what has to be done before your vision of a successful AGM? I mean, if we break it down into the lists, let's make it clear what has to be done.
Yeah. And so what I, in that case, would want to is to choose someone who's responsible for taking an overarching responsibility for the AGM, because I will not be able to put the time in that I would want, since I am not coming back to San Francisco until the 9th, and I'm going to be hammered with work for the 2 weeks leading up to the AGM. So I really feel uncomfortable with this, partly because I know I'm going to be able to spend like 5 minutes on it from now until then. So in that case, I would want someone else to step up and say, well, I will take the overarching responsibility for communication and structure around the AGM, including making sure that all the information for how to participate in the process comes out to all the participants, sending out emails around that on the email list, including making sure that the NomCom do their work and that they post, here is what you do if you want to be on the board properly, and also announce that on the email list. Also, is anyone writing this down, by the way? But
I'm starting to. It's still kind of vague. We need to build the list of exactly an itemized list of exactly what needs to be done in place.
Yeah, but someone needs to do that, and that someone can't be me. So I need someone to take full responsibility of planning and structuring and communicating this event.
We need to know what the expectations are. I mean, it sounds like a big project, but why is it a big project? Like building an environment from which people can contribute to the AGM. Informing them that they can contribute in these ways. I mean, so we have to build what? A Google Hangout, a public space, a set time and date, communicate. If we have an itemized list, I mean, I know that's what we're trying to put together, but let's be possible.
I don't need a list. I need a person who say, this is my ass. Because I know this board previously, and I know that it's not always that people get their shit done, which means that someone needs to be the one who calls them and say, hey, you said you were going to post this email on the email list 2 weeks ago, you still haven't done that. Because if we mess up on that now, and the email that comes, hey, you want to get nominated for the board, and that's 3 days before the AGM, that's not good. And I foresee that happening. So who wants to take responsibility for that process?
I'm going to talk like a programmer and say I need some requirements. I need a list of requirements.
You're not going to get one. You're going to have the responsibility of figuring out the requirements.
Let me just say,
this is a project management role. It's very much
yeah, exactly.
Ground up.
And I'm saying I'm not the
Justin, can I just put in something here, guys? I'm not going to Burning Man. I've been to a shitload of AGMs before. I'd be very happy to work with you, Justin, and put together that list, and then you and me will decide on who executes on what, and then we'll do it.
That, Paul. If you want to co-own this thing with me, if we can, we need to define what the deliverables are, and then make it happen.
Yeah. And it's yours and my ass. So Gustav, you have me and Justin on the line. We can also decide one of us, Justin.
So just to be clear, if one of you ever blames the other, I would want to punch you.
Oh yeah, we don't need to do that because everything's Justin's fault already. We know that.
Because it always ends up in people blaming each other. So it would be absolutely it will completely unacceptable to blame the other. Yeah. If it's okay to blame the other, you're not doing co-ownership.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Justin's fault, everything.
Well, Paul volunteered me, so ultimately it's his fault. But Paul,
but I don't know. But okay, let's go. Let's keep going because
yeah.
So just that on the AGM will I guess that would be the new nomination committee, and they will bring the names on the ones that are nominating, but it's not the actual people nominated don't have to participate in the meeting. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. You don't have to participate in the AGM to be elected.
No, you sort of get that sorted beforehand.
Yeah.
Just bring the names.
So 2 points to this. The nomination committee should come out with their suggestion sometime before the AGM. Because if someone doesn't like their suggestion, they should get the opportunity to come up with an alternative or have a conversation about that alternative before the event. So I would say they need to present their suggestion 2 weeks before the event.
All right.
Which means that we should have, but then last call for nominations for the nomcom should be, to give them some fair time 1 or 2 weeks before that. That means that deadline is in the middle of Burning Man, and people have already left for Burning Man. I'm leaving on Friday. Everyone who goes to Burning Man is not going to be able to be a part of the nomination process. I'm still think it's such a horrible idea to have it this time. But so then I guess you have to let's say we give the people 1 week to have a conversation about it, which I think is too little. In that case, that would be the 14th. Then the nomination for the nominations should be on the 7th. If you want to be reviewed by the nomination committee, you can of course nominate later than that, but then you can't be a part of the nomination committee process. But that's it. And then we have 5 days between Burning Man and the deadline for the nomination committee.
And Christoph is also going to Burning Man.
Yeah. So
right.
it needs to be verified that Christoph can put down probably 20, 30 hours of work within the week between the 7th and the 14th of September.
20 to 30 hours?
Yeah, let's say you get 20 applicants.
Yeah. Okay.
And you want to do a review of the board that's already been. You want to talk. You want to do a fair conversation and actually talk to the people who want to be in. And you want to choose between those. And then you want to go back and communicate to those people that you didn't pick and those that you picked.
It seems like a really highball estimate of the time commitment, and it also seems like an incredible amount of work for what we're trying to accomplish. I'm just going to make that comment that it seems.
Guys,
like,
let's let the nomination committee decide this for themselves. We don't have to put an exact number on how much.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to, for the record, say that I'm completely against this, and I really don't like this. But let's, whatever. In that case, we should just leave the. Should we leave? Because the other question here was, should we have guidelines for the nomination committee? And I think the board should write them because. But apparently, we just decided that they can decide for themselves how the process should look.
I mean, there's been a few things that have been. You know, that like that we would like to have in consideration when nominating. So I guess there's a few things, but not for maybe for the process itself.
But do they get to pick their own dates? So we're saying, because I don't know.
2 weeks before, I think is good. I think we already decided that.
That they should announce it 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
Christoph home 4 days before that. He's going to basically be offline the entire period until a couple of days before he's supposed to have finished the entire process. Do anyone really think that's realistic? Or fair, without even asking him to give him those directions? We're just setting ourselves up to fail here. Like, we can foresee this not working, and we're sticking to it. I don't understand.
We probably need another person on the nomination committee then.
Well,
I think, yeah, I mean, I think the bottleneck is the nomination committee, right? So this is something this is kind of a hole that we've dug ourselves into.
But that's because we arbitrarily put the date September 21 in the calendar at a meeting without thinking about the fact that we needed to do nominations, and it happened to be 2 weeks after people get home from Burning Man. And that was us being stupid at a previous meeting, and we have the opportunity now to, decide something different when we realize we put a stupid fucking date down because it's straight after Burning Man.
Can we move the date to October 21st?
Please.
Anybody opposed to moving the date to October 21st?
No.
Oh, sure. No, this is Paul. And I understand your point.
Yeah. I think, like, I really see this as a minor point. I don't see that this is going to ruin the AGM just because Christoph only has a couple of days coming home from Burning Man. Like, if we make an extra effort, we can find more people for that nomination committee. Yeah, it would have been great to have him, but it's not something that's going to ruin the AGM and set ourselves up to fall. This is very minor to me. I think we're making a big mountain out of a molehill, and I think, like what you said yourself, Gustav, like, you're scared of failure. I think that's what's kind of driving this whole thing at the moment now. I think we're really finding problems. I don't think this is major at all.
Yeah. But so far, I feel like for the last hour we've been addressing problems, but saying we don't think they're problems. And
yeah, you've been bringing up a lot of problems.
I really don't see the nomination as being nearly as formidable a task as you do. I don't see it as being that huge. I mean, I don't see 30 people throwing their name in to be president of Borderland. I don't see it. I mean, this is I think 10 people may be in attendance, right? I think we're going to have a couple additions. I don't think it's going to be the mountain of work that you think it is.
No.
Well, first, to address what Paul said, that we don't have to have Christoph, then there should be someone else. So, since we don't have another board meeting before this, how do you suggest we find that person?
I have a number of people I can ask. Personally, yeah, I'm sure all of us could ask some people.
We can't have Well, if you don't want to be on the board, you can be on the nomination committee, but you obviously can't be on the nomination committee and nominate yourself.
No, I have some people that I could ask if they want to be a part of the nomination committee, and I'm sure that you do too. Gustav and Brooks probably also know some people you could ask if they want to be a part of the nomination committee. I'm sure we could find one more person out of.
Yeah.
Well,
and then
we do have quite a few people that we've asked, and we have a few people that we're going to ask, and for me, it's just that I really need to get to hand this over to someone. I think it's like the very only reason that I have to take this break is that I'm not able to engage in the way that I feel that Borderland deserves at the moment, and this is just a temporary thing for me. Like, it's not like out of interest or anything. So it's just that I think it should be someone owning this. That someone who is able to be more involved than I am right now, and I'm thinking that it's better if I hand it over before I get even less involved. Just that someone could sort of take this further, because I've already been in conversations with people about being nominated. It's just
I agree, and we are looking to replace you. So let's pick Ulrika. Let's say what we already agreed on, Ulrika, Christoph, and let's have Zach be part of that process too, and then let them handle it. Because that's basically, it seems to be the opinion of this board to let them handle it.
Yeah, well, also it's because I think they seem like a great team to do this, but I also think that we should be fair with them, and they probably don't know that it's going to be a really tight schedule for them, like when getting back from Burning Man. So I guess they should be allowed to maybe they don't I'm not sure if they want to do it if they know that it's such a tight time frame.
I don't understand why we can't just postpone the meeting 2 weeks. It's just, I feel it's insanity that we try to force this in when there's absolutely no. If we would have made the decision today, we wouldn't have made it this way. And now we're referring to a stupid decision that we made at one point, that we haven't announced to the rest of the community. We haven't announced to the community the date of the AGM yet. So no one knows, it's just us, and yes, and now everyone, because we're having this conversation on
I think considering that we chose
it's so obviously better to just postpone it a couple of weeks to give this time.
Okay, Gustav, I'm going to try one last time, and otherwise I'm going to give up to you, okay? So me and Justin have taken responsibility for the AGM. We have said that we're going to drive this, we're going to do this, we're going to put our asses on the line, we're going to make this a fantastic AGM, we're going to really make it work. And if you trust us, then we will really do the best we can. We will talk to that nomination committee, we will bug them, we will hound them to make sure that they do a good job. If you don't trust that, then yeah, fine, let's delay this process. But okay. I'm asking you now, like, me and Justin are going to try and do this, and we really want to do it well. So, yeah.
Thank you, Paul. I trust you. I am sorry for dragging this along further. So in that case, let's just go to the next part, which was the bylaws review. I think me and Matthias and now Paul will have some time to look at it, and we'll do some smaller things, basically cutting it down a bit so it doesn't limit us, but then to also be responsible for a recommendation at the AGM of how the process of shaping the new bylaws will happen. And we can, if the board is okay with that, me, Paul, I will head that group with Paul and Matthias assisting me. Excellent. Point 7 and the last point is IT infrastructure. Any thoughts from the board on this that have started? I don't feel this is a conversation we actually need to have now. And it's also, I think it's great that the experimentation have started, but no decisions have to be made until later on when it's approaching. No thoughts?
I don't have any strong opinions about it right now. I agree with you.
In that case, any additional points that the board would like to bring up for this meeting?
Gustav, I'm going to set up a call with you, me, and Justin just to go through what expectations. When are you leaving for the US?
I am leaving on Friday. Can we do it right now?
I cannot. I cannot do it right now.
Can you and me do it, Paul? I think we'll only need like 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think so too.
Can you record it on whatever this Hangout thing is?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes, because this has been working so well.
I understand that, man.
Yeah. In that case, I would like to thank you all. Paul, you can just stay in this video then, and we'll continue the conversation.
And we'll broadcast it to the broader Borderland community. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Jill?
Yeah. Could you email me their emails, Ulrika and Christopher?
I will definitely do that.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
everyone.
I miss you.
Cool.
Thanks.
Bye.
So I'm thinking we need milestones, and we need like key people that we need to speak to, and maybe also like materials and documents that we need. Communications, like what communications need to be sent out.
Yeah. So we need to make sure that let's do action. I'm just gonna put my action points down so that I know what I need to hand over. I need to update. I need to update MailChimp, get all the addresses on there so that it's the last version. I think it is the last version already, with the addresses from Eventbrite. Yeah. Justin have been sending out emails on MailChimp before, so he knows how to do that.
I've done it too.
Oh yeah, you have. So then you're fine with that. There are two things that there are two milestones. Or actually, I think there are three, but we don't have to set them all three now. First of all, we need to announce that this is how you nominate yourself for the board. So that should be ASAP. Then there needs to be a deadline for nominations to the nomination committee so that they can start doing their work. And then there needs to be a deadline for when the nomination committee recommends comes up with their nomination, their recommendation for the board. And that needs to be a little bit before the board meeting in case there's someone who objects with that.
Yeah, and we agreed 2 weeks before.
Yeah, because there is, so there are, and I would be fine with 1 week too. If it comes that when you and Justin and them are kind of looking at this, as long as there's like a good week in advance and the conversation can blow up and die down before the meeting, I think. But it shouldn't be too close to the event.
Cool. I also need a deadline for changes to the bylaws. I assume that's in the bylaws, and also maybe a deadline for agenda points for the AGM. Probably those are in there already.
So the problem is that no one knows the bylaws, and so what you need is a deadline primarily for me and Matthias.
Okay.
And then we need a deadline for adding points to the agenda. And one of those points could potentially be bylaw reviews or bylaw changes.
Yeah.
That is external
exactly.
from our recommendation. But those.
Can you send me the bylaws now, or where are they actually?
I don't even know if I fucking have them. They were written. They were written in 2008 or 2009.
Wow. Great.
And
that would be great if they don't actually exist.
They're just taken for template. It was like 5 people who, took a template and called it, now we have bylaws.
Now we have an organization. Great.
Yeah. It's basic.
I've written an action here, Gustav, to send bylaws to Paul. If you don't find them, then...
I don't have them. I think Matthias has them.
Because
he was the chairman of that board.
Okay.
And also...
I'll send an email to Matthias.
It's in an old Borderland folder that for some reason I don't have access to anymore. But there used to be a Borderland folder with stuff. Oh, wait, I might have it if I go here. I'll check. The other part is kind of more general instructions about the nomination committee, because I think it's important that they don't get the feeling that they have to confirm the people that are already on the board that still want to be on the board.
Yeah.
So their job is to not only replace Zach and Jill, but to review the whole board and recommend a whole new board.
Yeah.
And it might be that they don't switch anyone out, but at least it shouldn't, especially since it is the previous board electing the nomcom, which is not really kosher. It needs to be very clear from us to them that it's okay for them to tell us that we're not welcome.
Yeah. So you should send me, I have Christoph's address, but I don't have Ulrika's, and maybe also just send them an email and say, hey, Paul and Justin are organizing the AGM. You need to coordinate with them. Can you do that?
Yeah, sure. I just sent their applications on to Jill, but I'll send Justin, Jill. Okay, that I can do.
Yeah. So we're talking about communications that need to go out as well. Like we have the thing about the non-com. I think there also needs to be a communication about like, hey, if you have like agenda points for the board, for the AGM, then you need to test it by this date, right? And I mean,
form before certain.
Announce the AGM?
Sorry?
Yeah. Have we announced the AGM at all?
No.
Like the date?
No, we've just.
Okay. So we need to announce the AGM, and that needs to be.
I think we should announce the AGM with all the info about the AGM in one go, and that should preferably done as soon as possible, hopefully this week. Especially since a lot of people will go offline for Borderland by the beginning of next week.
All the practical info, right? Not the content. Like, we're not going to have an agenda and all that kind of stuff ready.
No. But
yeah, just practical info.
What is the deadline for a nomination for being reviewed by the nomination committee? What is the deadline for adding agenda points?
Yeah. Cool.
An agenda point should be, you know, like a day or two in advance with in written form.
Yeah, I would almost say like a week in advance. Like normally, it's good to have a week in advance, and then you have time to also prepare. Like if there's some questions like, oh fuck yeah, what do we do about that? Then the board has time to kind of prepare something, right? So, and also just limits like people coming up. A lot of people like the day before they were like thinking like, oh, what can I bring up so that I can get some attention at the AGM and bring a really clever point so that we can discuss it a lot of time, right? So I'd rather say a week in advance. If you haven't thought about it by then it's probably not important enough that it actually needs to be discussed at the AGM.
So most likely, the who gets to go question will come up at the AGM.
Okay.
So we need a strategy for how to address that. Because we will not be able to solve that question in the AGM.
That's true.
So we have a question that's going to be one of the most burning questions that people want answer to and will not going to be able to answer to it. And how do we manage that in a nice way so that people feel trust in the process?
How about like we let a discussion go for 5 to 10 minutes, and then if it comes up, and then you suggest, hey, let's set down a committee to take up this point and come with recommendations. And then whoever wants to participate in that committee can participate. Then that committee can meet as many times as they want. They can discuss it as much as they want. And then they come with recommendations to the board.
Yeah.
If that comes up.
Fuck, I hate committees. The word. The word committee. Oh, let's
a working group.
But I mean, I feel this is the only question that we have to address like as a community. Everything else, I'm fine with like small dictators here and there deciding what the fuck they want. But who gets to go is something we have to make a decision as a community. We can't fall back on you know, nepotism, meritocracy, the kind of.
So what's your opinion, Gustav? I'm sure you have one already.
What?
What's your opinion?
My opinion was more hardline during the Borderland when I had conversations, but to have a simple system. But I've been convinced more that it needs to have complexity. I think we should set aside some memberships for the. I think the board should get memberships. I think that the art grant process should be able to give out. I'm not sure, because before you had to be a member to be able to apply for art grants. So maybe we should get it so that people get to be members first, then to apply for art grants, instead of saying, oh, here's an art grant, oh, and now you get to be a member too. But I'm not sure about that. Maybe have them as part of the art grant process. The other part is I think we should have some people, some membership directed to people who have attended before. But I also think that we should have a quota to people who have never been before, to kind of offset that, because we need new people to be able to get in, and we need people who've already been there to be able to go again. And then I think all that membership should only be given to individuals, so that if an art group comes together and say, hey, we're 3 people who are building this, then those 3 names get memberships. However, I would also want everyone who gets their name on a list, no matter if it's through a lottery, if they're on the board or whatever, gets to get 1 more in. Which is what Burning Man does too, is you can buy 2 tickets per person. So we have nepotism, which is I get to bring my girlfriend. But we have only allot nepotism to that. We say that everyone who gets to go gets to bring 1. But not, oh, you're in charge of an art project, you get to bring 20 people, or you're on the board, you get to bring 10 people. Everyone gets to bring 1, and that's everyone. And that allows for some nepotism, but very strict and regulated, and everyone gets to be part of that. I get to bring an extra process. And then on top of that, I would like non-transferable memberships as to completely remove the market. So we know early on who's coming. Because I think that's fair to the ones who are going and fair to the ones who are not going to, as early as possible, establish who is on the list. And we could have
no exceptions. Like that's a really hard rule. I think that'll give a lot of pushback.
With no exceptions.
Okay.
We could have an oh my god sale. If the reason is, well, we want some people to jump in the last minute, then they should be able to jump in the last minute, equal opportunity to everyone else. Not certain people should be able, because they have connections and we're able to get a last, then if we think it's important that we have last minute additions, then that should be a part of the structured process. It shouldn't be left to outside of our control.
Yeah. You also realize we'll have a lot of no-shows if we have non-transferable memberships, right?
And that we solve by overselling. So we basically look at, we know we have about 20% no-shows or 10 to 20% no-shows. So instead of, if we want 500 people to come, we sell 600.
Yeah. I think it'll at least be 20%, especially because I expect that the tickets will sell out this fast this year.
Which is a reason
even faster.
You might want to divide it in 3 sales, so that the first sale reminds everyone that, hey, you forgot the sale.
Yeah, good idea.
One sale, the people who are not keeping track of it, but when this big sale is, it's going to get a lot of, everyone's going to hear about it. So then it's good if, when everyone hears about it, you have another sale for the people who missed it the first time.
Yeah.
So I think basically just dividing the whole thing in a couple of sales is also fair. But I also think we should stick to, we should remove the early late fee, because everyone's, it's going to be.
Doesn't matter anymore.
It doesn't matter. We didn't sell late this year. So we should probably raise the price to 500 and then have only 500. Everyone pays 500, no exceptions.
Yeah, I could even say 600, but yeah, that's a discussion we could take on the new board.
But we're going to have more people next year, so we're going to have even more money, and we don't need money.
Yeah.
It's a conversation to be had. So these are kind of my thoughts where they are now. They have been changing since the Borderland. I will keep doing the conversation at Burning Man. It's going to be my purpose of being at Burning Man is to have the conversation about exclusion at Burning Man. So, and then I'm even going to film a little documentary on it with interviewing people about exclusion.
Yeah.
Cool.
Go through what I've written down as far as the AGM is concerned. Can I do that quick?
Sorry?
I want to go through with you what I've written down for the AGM is concerned, because I don't know if I've captured everything. So I've written milestones. We need to announce the AGM now, and there we also need to announce this is how you run for the board. This is the main deadlines that are involved in the AGM. We need to announce separately I think we need an extra reminder for announcing the deadline for nominations. Then we need the nomination committee to have a deadline for releasing a list of candidates.
Yeah.
Then we also need a deadline for changes to bylaws, and we need a deadline for suggestions for agenda points and for the agenda and that kind of thing. I have some. I've written. You have to update MailChimp. You have to. I've actually already sent. No, I've started an email to Matthias asking him for the bylaws. I'll get him to send that to me, and you're going to send me an email together with Ulrike and Christoph, telling them that we're coordinating the AGM. And then I also wrote down here key persons. Do you think there's other key people that we need to like coordinate with? Maybe Matthias, just to like keep him in the loop or something like that, or is he going to Burning Man?
No, he's not.
Okay.
So the people I just this is what if I would put some effort. I think there are some key people I would like engaged in the AGM that I would like probably to attend, but also to but if not to kind of talk to before. And it's of course the people who are on the advisory board. That is you, Brooks, Alex, Hampus. I like a connection to Aarhus, so Christian, Thomas, and that crew. I would like you to, and Andreas, who did Andreas Engholm, who did the Clown Police. I think is a key person. Then I realize I am just listing guys. Which is, I think...
You realize what?
I just listed a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
I think that's a very...
Yeah. Well, I have Isadora. I wrote Isadora as well. But,
yeah. But I think that's a very important issue that we have to address. And if you... And just, you know... it is this kind of fighting against the structures of society of how participation works is really hard. So we really have to push. So I think you should put together a list of great girls that you can contact personally to get them into the AGM. Because to me, having a good gender distribution at the AGM is a thing in itself. You know, it's worth something, because that will change how the conversation goes, and that will make it easier for more girls to get engaged. But we have to use a bit of force to get it there before it starts, before more girls are getting engaged. I had
a discussion with Jamila yesterday.
Yeah.
Do you have an opinion on her being a part of the board because she's interested in joining?
I mean, she has the economy experience, and we need someone on the financial part, so I think that would be great.
Yeah.
But that's also a thing. That's something you need to address with the NomCom.
Yeah. I just wanted to see if you had a person.
That they should review the skills that is required to be on the board, that the board requires. So we need to have someone who can do that kind of work. We would need someone who says, I want to work with communications, I want to be responsible for regular newsletters, that kind of thing. And they would have to kind of look at what is the composition of the board, so that there's some diversity in the board when it comes to skill, when it comes to background, whatever. Also, the diversity when it comes to gender, the diversity when it comes to physical location. So that's something that they should think about in their process, so they don't just pick the top names, because we need some diversity in there too. But yeah, so I would like you to write a list of great girls that you specifically write a little Facebook message to, saying, hey, it would be nice if you made time for the AGM and became a part of that. Because it would be nice to have some balance there.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Will do. And I think maybe if I copy the message to you, you can probably do the same thing.
Yeah.
Although you'll, and that can be just a couple of days before the AGM.
Probably get in touch with some of the same girls.
And then materials and documents that we need, like
Linda
has
already expressed her interest in joining the board. So I mean, at least she will be there. So,
yeah,
you were saying?
Yeah. As far as like the technical solution is concerned, I think that should be in the initial announcement. Do you want to do Google Hangouts again, or do you want to do Skype? Do you know like the limits for participation is on those two platforms?
Yeah, you can't do a Skype. I think we should do a Google Hangout. I think we should get together, you, me, and Justin during the day before or something, and do a trial Hangout, and kind of so that we can work with, because Hangout has all these apps you can use to have people ask questions, to review collaborative documents. I don't know, but so that we
should have some voting system for sure.
Confused as we were now. Also, we need everyone who wants to attend on video to be on a good broadband connection, because that was the problem with Matthias today.
Yeah. Or we just ask people to switch off their video. I think, like, let's have people speaking on video and everyone else not.
No, that's not the issue. The delay comes from you cannot be broadcasting to the community if you're on a slower connection. But it was, I thought it was very clear that Matthias was, after everyone else in his connection. Then he caught up because he got better connection. But in the beginning, he was the only one who was way off.
Okay.
And preferably also maybe asking people to have headphones if you plan on addressing the community.
Yeah.
And,
okay.
And the question is, should we have it physical/digital? So should we have you host a Copenhagen meeting, so that you have one camera for all the people in Copenhagen and you ask them to come to your place, and then I do the same here in Stockholm?
Yeah, it's an option for sure. And then we'll have some individual people around the country, I'm sure.
You can do that too.
But,
I'm just saying, instead of having 10 cameras or 5 cameras from Stockholm, let's say you can participate online. Anyone can do that. But you can also participate physically in a meeting.
Yeah. Let's talk about that closer to the time. I think it's definitely an option.
And you and Justin can make that call.
Yeah. Moderator for the AGM. Do you have any good ideas? Personally, I think like you take up so much space already, Gustav, that I kind of feel like it would be good with another moderator, but it's really important with a good moderator.
I see your point there, so I think that would be good. I don't think Brooke is forceful enough. He moderated some conversation. He moderated some conversations before, and I think we will not get pushed through the agenda quickly enough if he does it.
Yeah, we need someone less consensus orientated and more decision orientated.
I would suggest Matthias, actually. He has some good experience in that. So you can talk to him, or Isadora maybe?
Yeah, that's not a bad idea either.
Yeah.
She's good at cutting through the crap as well, right?
Yeah.
Although she really loves just like long discussions as well, to tell you the
truth. Like the people who are good at cutting in and pushing through are also the people who like to talk. Unfortunately, But Matthias and Isadora, I think, are great, because I see your point. I will be talking so much anyway, so it's great to have someone else.
Yeah, I think it would definitely be wrong with you doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. What about like Alexander or Hampus or someone like that? I'm not sure about them.
I don't think Hampus is forceful enough. Alexander, maybe. I haven't seen him do that.
Yeah, I've never seen him do that either. I'm saying he can. Yeah. Okay. I'll speak to Matthias about it first, and maybe Isadora, and see. Because yeah, the moderator should also be less opinionated.
Yeah.
Kind of, more neutral on the actual topics.
And then Matthias is better.
Will Isadora be running for the board?
Yeah.
Yeah, both of them will run for the board, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Matthias he's biased because he's on the board, of course, but I don't think that's a problem. I don't think it's a problem, a board member running the meeting.
No.
I think that's fairly common.
Yeah, I don't think it's fine. Yeah.
But Matthias is less opinionated than Isadora. I like how we're having this conversation about people and how they are still broadcasting.
Is this being?
Hi guys, we're talking shit about you on live television. No, but
I think we're being fairly fair, but maybe we're not.
At least we're transparent about it.
Yeah, that's good. Cool.
Someone brought up...
And congratulations to anybody who managed to watch this broadcast until now.
There's actually 3 people watching right now.
There is?
Yeah.
Really? Wow, fantastic.
I don't know where to...
Hello world. Probably they're like off making coffee or taking a shit or something.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, wow. That's where you got into that. I just found more cool options in the software. Yeah, I have to learn how to work this software because did you
see who's watching?
That's what I'm trying to figure out, but I can't see that right now.
Cool. Nice. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm guessing you have some kind of administrative rights. That's why I have very limited options here.
Yeah. Yeah, I have the hosting thing, so I have this DJ control room thing where I can choose. Oh, that's the problem. So people, another point. We need a social media responsible because this software is not. I missed a comment by Shamil saying, I would like to say something in this topic. How do I speak? That she said 2 hours ago that I saw now because it was in another window. So we need someone to kind of keep track of how.
Do you mean under the AGM?
Under the AGM, to be responsible for keeping track of what's going on in the internets, so that if points are brought up through comments or through chat, that they are being addressed as properly as the people who are there physically.
Yeah. Well, the moderator needs to be really aware, I think, of like there should definitely be like a way you can flag like I have a question or like write your question, something like that.
And that's why I think the moderator needs to be backed up by someone who sits with a computer, because the moderator will have to listen in and be more present. So I think it would be nice to have the moderator and someone else in the same location who are kind of doing the social media. So if Isadora or Matthias is doing that, I mean, it could even be me, because I'm the one who knows the tech stuff. So then I could be...
otherwise, I mean, good stuff. Like, I've been doing this as a part of my job, hosting meetings with 25, 30 people professionally, people from around the world sitting and talking together, you know, and moderating and controlling the discussion. Like, that's been my job for the last 5 years.
You want to do it?
Yeah, I think maybe I'm the right person to do it then.
You want to moderate the meeting?
The AGM, yeah.
I'll
talk to other people about it. Yeah, do you think that's okay?
Yeah, talk to Matthias, and but I'm 100% for that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm definitely more like cutting through and like reducing the discussion, and probably sometimes opinionated as well, right? But I will definitely reduce my opinions if I'm moderating.
I mean, there is a part issue because I know that we're going to have disagreements. Because we've historically had some disagreements, and then because that's one reason you don't want me to be the moderator, because you also feel, you know.
Oh no, I feel like if you were the moderator, you would be neutralized more actually.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel, I don't know, yeah, of course I could give more voice to your opponents or something like that, but I actually didn't consider that, but maybe subconsciously I did.
But I would no, I would really appreciate you doing it. I think you would do a great job. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, yeah, and I'd definitely be less opinionated if I'm taking that role.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think we're good.
I think we're good too.
Yeah, I'll contact you if there's anything else, but I think I'll post on Facebook tonight about the AGM. Yeah, 21st, what time should we say?
We should, I think, at 3, it says in my calendar. So one part to this is, you know that, yeah, that's what we said. You know that, what are their names? Sine and Krista is doing a party that weekend. I think it was no, it was Krista and, you don't know this?
Oh, Krista from Denmark, from Kolding?
Yeah. She is doing...
But did it get cancelled?
It did?
I don't know. Yeah, I saw something about it. What the fuck was it called?
It would be a bad idea if, you know, half of the community is, if half of the
But to be fair, I don't expect it to be. Yeah, I don't expect a lot of people to go there if it's far away from Copenhagen. It's kind of like, what's it called? Birthday burn. Wasn't it her birthday or something, right?
Yeah. Well, we already set this date 4 or 5 weeks ago, and since we're fighting so much about not changing the date and time of it, I think we should stick to the date and time we set then.
Yeah, and right now there's people signed up for the birthday, for this the weekend event, and it's not key people at all. Or Anna Birkbasse was one of the girls that I really wanted to come. Roxy signed up, but I mean, yeah, no, it's 9 people, and only 4 or 5 of them are my friends. 6. Do you have the link for the event? I don't think it's a train smash. Like, they can join from there as well.
Yeah. Cool.
It'll be Sunday. They would have partied all night. They'll be awake by 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
We actually managed to do this thing in 2 hours. Let's aim to keep it below 2 hours.
The AGM?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. If we can do it in an hour and a half, that'll be even better.
Yeah.
Cool. Great. Thanks, Gustav.
Well, thank you, and thank you for a great week. It was precious.
Yeah, it was. I think it was one of the best weeks of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know I quit my job?
Yeah, you told me.
Yeah, I told you when we were walking, right? Yeah. So everything feels right now. We've been told that Illitron can be turned into a burner collective, or like we've kind of been invited to come in there and help out with it. So that's really exciting for me.
New location?
Yeah, it's moved to a place which is actually closer to the center and closer to me, and more beautiful and cooler. Yeah, they're. It's not decided yet, but they're open to the idea of the whole Burning Man community coming in there, and we want to. I've been speaking to people about building an extra floor on Illitron and creating like a really cool, warm, nice space with mattresses and sofas and carpets and all that kind of stuff.
I would love to to do another afterburn there or decompression thing there.
Yeah. I have that as an option. I actually also have an option with a... Sorry?
Yeah, however, I would not... I didn't like the last afterburn.
No.
I came there on Monday. I spent a full week building stuff. Some people came in on... A lot of people came in on Friday and were building and creating. And then there was, 150 ravers that came in on Saturday night and behaved like shit and didn't clean up after themselves. And that was really... so I would like...
That was partially my fault. Or probably a large part of it was my fault, actually. We've spoken about this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But, I mean, compared to the last afterburn we had at Soren's place, which was amazing. That was absolutely amazing. So, yeah, more connection. And I think we can do that with Electron. It's harder because it's so easy to get to. But I think we can do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I have another option. Like, I know there's someone who has a farm up in Sweden, close to Olofström, which is just past Gränslandet.
Yeah.
So it's in Bleking, and it has like this beautiful old mill that is like connected still to a dam with water flowing through it. It's not doing anything, but it's there. If I've ever seen like the perfect haunted house, like this is it. It's like 4 floors and massive big windows, and just looks like really crazy, but really big wooden floors, big open space, and I think there's a good opportunity we can hold something there, but I'm not sure. The disadvantage of Electron is it's not like a whole weekend event really. It's more like a we can do stuff, but people go sleep in the city most likely, and if we're out there, then people sleep out. That'll be like a mini burn, right?
Exactly.
So.
Hey, I have another hour to work or so.
Yeah, I need to get going as well. Yeah, cool.
But yeah, I won't talk to you till after the burn then.
Yeah.
But can we plan a meeting? It would be great if Justin can join too, but so just you and me, because I'm fairly busy, to plan a meeting and kind of go through the AGM and do that maybe the weekend before. Do a Skype and just make sure that we kind of feel.
Okay, so the weekend before isn't going to work for me, but the 15th in the afternoon is good. Otherwise, it could be like the 6th, 7th.
No, I don't get home till the 9th from US for Burning Man.
Or the 5th is even better.
I'm not coming home till the 9th.
Yeah, and I'm offline from the 9th to the 14th.
Oh, yeah? Okay, 15th, Monday.
Yeah, 15th in the afternoon.
Yeah, time?
Let me see, I land in Copenhagen at 6:10, so like I'd prefer like 9ish or something like that, I think.
Excellent.
8, 9ish. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to send you a meeting.
Yeah. Well, I've already written it down in my Google Calendar.
Okay. Cool. Great.
Can you invite Justin to that too? So that the three of us.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
So we kind of prepare for that thing. But just just a check-in and knowing that everything is on track. If there's any conversations that we should bring up.
You're not going to be online when you're over in San Francisco or wherever it is you're going to be.
I'm going to be out on the playa until the 4th, and then I'm going straight from there to Avalon Hot Springs to for Katiana's birthday.
Yeah. So you don't want to be on conference calls.
No. But the 15th would be great. But I mean, if you really need me, I might be staying with Bear and Kati the last 2 days in first camp, so I'm going to be around the internet.
Cool. If I really need you, I'll try if you phone answer. If you don't feel like it, though, we'll be good.
Yeah, I mean, this is
if I read
in case you need me, but I think you're fine on your own. But the thing I think for the last week, that is, if we see any conversations or conflicts or long topics that we see coming up, we should maybe kind of diffuse them by initiating conversations in other locations. So we'll put a Facebook thread out, having people talk there, and then during the AGM we can say, oh, there's a great conversation here, so keep doing that. Kind of finding other ways of maintaining conversation so that the AGM becomes more of a place for decisions rather than discussion.
Yeah, cool.
Okay. Yeah, fuck.
Thanks, Gustav.
Take care. I'll see you on the other side of the thing.
Yeah, and have a fantastic burn. I'm sure it's going to be great. Yeah. Take some sand home from me or something like that. See ya. Bye.
Yeah.